Hi, welcome to VCC TV. The banking sector has seen a considerable change after the granting of payment bank license. Today we have with us MD and CEO of FINO Paytech, Mr. Rishi Gupta, to discuss more about the recent payment license and more. Let's talk about the payment bank license first. Congratulations for that.
Thank you.
What will be your strategy going ahead?
So I would say it is little early days to talk about strategy per se, but when we look at the DNA of all the licenses which have been issued, so there are some 11 of them which have been issued, and those 11s are in, I would say, many of them in telcos, many of them in the NBFC segment. We are in the BC segment per se. So our strength has been to set up a rural infrastructure, to strength has been in terms of handling the customers on the ground to the mass market and the underbanked, unbanked segment. So this is a segment which we will be working on, and this is the DNA of a company, and the DNA of the company is actually to work for mass market, to work in physical outlets, to work in rural India, to set up a network through agents and some of our own branches like FINO Money Mart, which we have set up in urban and some in rural areas. So our strategy would be to continue to work on which we have been working on in the past, and to go, and I think go much deeper, I would say.
We have seen supernormal profits in the sector. Is that rate of growth sustainable?
Supernormal profit in which sector?
In the financial sector as such.
So no, I would not agree with you on this. I would say that payment ecosystem which has to get created, and if we really go by the spirit of the guidelines, it is more on the financially excluded people, and I am sure ecosystem for digital ecosystem will also get created within the payment bank framework. I don't think so there is astronomical profits one would look at when they look at this segment, but it is a more of a drive for the next 3 to 5 years, where you will see many of those payment ecosystem which we are now creating mushrooming into much bigger setups, and we have 700-800 million people who are not digitally included, or for whom the payments bank will actually become a roadmap through which those people can come under banking. And our experience has been that everybody needs banking, everybody needs products, everybody needs those choices. So those choice was not there with the consumer till about recently, but with this new ecosystem which is getting created, I am sure the choices will be with the customer. Why should a customer, just because he is not digitally included, should be deprived of any choices? So I think the payment ecosystem which will get created through the payments bank will remove that problem or the hurdle, so to say.
And how contended are you with the government's and the RBI's efforts to help the unbanked?
No, I think a lot of work has happened. When I go back 9 years when FINO was formed, when the original BC guidelines came, and then the government kept on, or the RBI kept on changing those guidelines to suit the penetration of the people. Then we saw the RBI coming out with monitoring matrices in which they said that we will monitor how much performance is there. And then the Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana, which has now come up with in the last 1 year, which has opened 15 crore accounts per se. So I would say most of the country have bank accounts now. That is my belief. What we need to work on is the next level. The next level is to provide access to those accounts where they can do transactions, where the payment bank would play definitely a big role, and then to see more transactions happening on those accounts. And third is, when I would say the final proof of the pudding would be when we look at inclusive agenda, is when multiple products are sold to those customers over the period of time, because from account opening to transactions to more heavy value transaction, then to products, this is a journey which we have to do. I would say we are in the first part of the first journey, so there are many journeys we have to do. So it's going to be a very interesting and I would say a very enriching journey in the next 4 to 5 years at least.
You've been a market leader as far as digitizing financial inclusion is concerned, but compared to others who are within the sector and have got payment bank licenses, your base has been a bit narrow. How do you plan to compete with the likes of Postbank, or for that matter Aditya Birla Group?
So I would not like to comment on each one of them individually, but I would say every company has their DNA, every company has their niches. So those 11 companies who have got licenses will come out with different models, so to say, and every based on their own strength, based on their own DNA, will come up with a model which one would say is good for them. Many of them have already they have captive customers, so they might come up with a model where they would like to do more with the captive customers. We also have a lot of captive customers which we can target and try to do banking for them. So every company based on their DNA will come out with their own model. I would not say it is a narrow model when you talk about FINO. We are there in almost say 80,000 villages, and we are there with feet on street, so which are completely controlled and owned by FINO, compared to many of the other players who are more in a distributor led model where the control is not with them, it is with the distributor. So to that extent FINO plays a bigger role in terms of covering up those areas through their own channel. We have 3,000 plus employees in the company who are there on the field to service those customers.
ICICI already has a stake in FINO.
Yes.
Are you looking at being business correspondents for any other bank or any other associations going forward?
So we are already business correspondent for, I would say, almost all the banks in the system. I would say about 10-15 of them who are there. So we'll continue to go that path because that is something which is allowed by the guidelines. So we don't see that to be a challenge. We continue to do that business. We continue to do deeper relationships with many banks. ICICI Bank is one of the investors in FINO, and we are also one of the large business correspondent for the bank.
BlackRock and Intelcap just exited, are planning to make an exit from the FINO Paytech because of the RBI norms of 49% holding. How are you planning to fill the void?
No, it's a very premature to comment on that. As per the RBI guidelines, we have to be a domestic company. So we are in the process of becoming a domestic company, and there is no specific investor who's looking at an exit. We'll have to work it out with the investor, but these are very early days. We'll have to spend some more time in resolving that.
To the last question, technology has changed the financial services sector a lot.
Yeah.
What more can we see in terms of technology, and what more innovation can happen as far as FinTech is concerned?
See, I would say the consumer will demand, and consumer will like to get service based on the inconvenience at their cost, and the banks would look at how much risk they are carrying on the books. So looking at that, technology plays a very, very important role because you can reach the consumer very, very easily, and you can do micro transactions for them. So I would say technology will continue to be the disruptor, and we'll see many other things like an NFC thing which would come up. I would say there will be migration on technologies on each of the segment. Could be people who are very, very digitally advanced. You would see them moving to an NFC on a contactless basis. People who are not on smartphones would move to a smartphone. So app-based developments will happen. But all in all, I would say I don't see a very long path where people will in some form or manner not get touched by technology. Even in our own BC business, we have developed applications. Our entire lending business per se works on a mobile application. We have developed wallets for our people. So I don't see anybody who will not be touched by a digital world. It's just a matter of time, and I think the saturation will happen.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thanks a lot for your time.
Thank you.
And congratulations once again.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.